Okay, so now that we have an enemy that can move from start to goal, we will have to animate him. And before we start, I would like to say that we need to do the same exact thing for every single monster because we need to create the animations. But I'm only going to show you how to do this with one of the monsters because there's no reason for me to do the same thing over and over again and making this video into an hour-long video instead of 20 minutes, right? So I'll show you how to create the animations and add the animations for one of the monsters, and then you can simply just repeat that with the other sprites. It's going to be exactly the same. So first of all, we have to create our animations. So let's do that for one of the monsters, and I'm going to go with the red monster. So inside the sprite folder, we can go to the monster folder, and then we have a move folder. And in here, I'm going to pick the red one. You can start with any of these. You can decide exactly which one you'll start with, but I'm going to go with the red monster. So first of all, we need to create the animations, and we can do that by clicking on red right, for example. And then we have to go up here and say, well, pixels per unit needs to be 300 because the scaling needs to fit the other sprites. And then we need to say the sprite mode needs to be multiple. And then we click sprite editor and apply. When you've done that, you'll see that it pops up with this editor here, and we'll have to slice these sprites into individual frames so that we can use them for our animation. And we can do that by clicking the slice button and then selecting slice. And if you do so, you'll see that it actually created a slice for every single frame here. And when you've done that, you can click apply. When that's done, you'll see in the editor that red right here now has a lot of different sprites under it. So we can use this to create an animation. And we have to do exactly the same thing for red down. And we already did it for red down when we had to create the standard sprite that we are moving on the screen right now. So maybe you already have done it for red down. If you haven't, then do the exact same thing where you click here, set the pixels per unit to 300, select multiple, sprite editor, slice, and apply. We have to do the same thing for red left. So select red left, set it to multiple, pixels per unit, 300, apply. Go to slice, apply. And then we have to do the exact same thing for red up. Select it, set it to 300, multiple, apply. And slice and apply here. Okay, so now we have sliced up our frames. The next thing we'll have to do is to create the animations. And as I said, I'm only going to do this for the red one right now. So select red right, select the first frame, hold down shift and select the last frame and drag it into the scene. And then we can go to assets, animations. I'm going to create a new folder called monsters. I'm going to go to that folder and I'm going to call this one red right and save. And then I'll do exactly the same thing for red down. Select all the frames, drag it into the scene, red down. And then I'll select red left, select all the frames, drag it into the scene, red left. And then I'll go to red up, select all the frames and drag them into the scene, red up. Okay, so now we've created all our animations, so we can actually just delete these new things here from our new sprites here from our hierarchy. Yeah. So if we go to the animation folder inside monsters, we have four controllers. We can delete 3 of them. It doesn't matter which one you're deleting. And then rename the one you leave to red controller. So this is our red monster controller. And we can take this one and just pull it into the controllers folder down here and just create a new folder here called monsters and drag it in here. Okay, so now we have our red controller inside the monster folder. Okay, so open up the controller, and when you open it up, you'll see that it has selected red right as the standard animation because it's orange here. we have to go to the animations folder inside the monsters, and then we have to select the other animations and drag them into this animator window. If you don't have the animator window, you can go to Windows and then you can select animator here, and then it opens up this window. Yeah, let's place these around so it fits. Red up should be in the top, red left should be in the left side, and red right should be in the right side, and red down should be down here. So now we have selected these and moved them around. Actually, when we start, I would like to put the default animation as red down, so we can just right click on red down and set as default state. So now red down is the default state for the red monster. We are doing this with the red monster, so basically we should also make sure that we always spawn a red monster now when we are debugging or testing, and then later we will make sure it's random again, right? So to do this, we can open up our scripts. Blind here, there. Scripts, and let's take the, I think it's the game manager. I'll just move this in on the screen so we can see what's happening here. And let's see, we have some spawn wave here. Here we have some spawn wave function, and it makes it random between 0 and 4. Well, we would like to make sure that it doesn't do random, so just comment this out and write 1, because red monster is type 1, so just set it to 1. So now it will always spawn red monster, right? So if we jump back to Unity, then we'll have to make sure our prefab has this on it, this controller on it. So if we take and go to our prefabs, open up monsters, and take the red monster and drag in here, we'll see that it doesn't really have any animator on it. We can actually just do this without dragging it in, sorry. We can actually just select the red monster here, and then over here we can see add component, and then write animator, and click the animator, and then you'll see an animator pops up on it. And this means that we can actually click on this little radio button here, and then we need to take the red controller, which is right here, and then select that. And let's see, we have a red idle. Never mind, I'll delete that later. So we have a controller now attached to our prefab, which means that the controller is attached, has a red down animation on it as default state, which means that it will use this controller to animate the monster now. So it should go to the red down. So let's try to run this game. And when it's running, if I click next wave, you'll see the monster is actually animated. It moves a little. It may be hard to see on the video, but it's actually moving. I think it's moving a little too slow. I would like to make it faster. So I can actually go to the animator, the controller, sorry, select it, and then select the clip and say the speed here needs to be 2. I'm going to do the same for the other clips. Select all of them. You can hold control down and select more, and then set the speed to 2. So let's try one more time now with that the speed is 2. Yeah, I think that fits better with him moving. Now he's like jumping up and down a little faster here. Okay. So with that in place, we'll have to make a script or add something to actually make a new script so that we can animate the monster in the correct direction. So to do that, we go to our scripts, and we can right click, create script, and select C# script and write monster. We have a monster, sorry, I forgot we already made it. So let's delete the monster1 script we created, and we already have a monster script. So of course he's moving around and such, so of course we had that script, sorry about that. Just forgot where we were at. So we have to open up the monster script, and then we actually have to create a new function. And this function is just called animate, and it's going to animate the monster. So let's say public void animate, and let's just do like this. Actually, I think we can make it private without any problems actually, because it's just going to be called from in here. So private void animate, it's going to take in a point called current position, and it's going to take in another point called new position. So we are going to determine the direction the monster is moving in, the monster's direction by looking at its current position and the next position, right? Because if we have the current and the next position, well, then we know exactly what direction we're moving in. Because if the monster is standing on this tile and is moving over here, well, the current position is over here and the next position is over here. So the X value is larger, which means that we are moving to the right, and so on, right? So we can use that to figure out what direction we are moving in. Based on that, we can say if our current position dot y is larger than our new position dot y, well, then we know that we are moving down, right? Because our own position is up here, for example, and then we need to move down here because it's larger than the new position. So we're moving down somehow. Then we can make an else if. So if our current position dot y is smaller than our new position dot y, well, then we are moving up because our own position will be down here and the new position is up here. And basically you can move these around. For example, let's say if he is moving to the left and up at the same time, based on the order of these if statement, he will play an animation to the left or up, and that's basically up to you what order you will put it in. Just to make, maybe you think it looks better if he looks to the right when he's moving right and up at the same time. Maybe someone thinks it looks better if he moves up, he animates upwards when he moves up and right at the same time. So you can just mix around with the order of these different if statements we have here. So then we're moving up. If our current position dot y is equal to the new position dot y, well, then we're not moving up or down because we have the same length. So we are actually moving horizontal somehow. Then we have to check if our current position dot x is larger than our new position dot x. Well, then we are moving to the left. Because my position would be over here and the new position would be over here because my position is larger, so we're moving to the left. Then we can say else if our current position dot x is less than new position dot x, well, then are we moving to the right. Okay, so now we have the if statements here. The next thing we will have to do is to set up some reference to the animator, because we'll have to use these if statements here to change something out here in our animator so that we can switch between the different animations, right? So to do this, we will have to go up to the top and let's make a private animator, not animation, but animator, called my animator. And right now it's not instantiated or anything, so we'll have to make a reference to it. So we have right here, we have our, let's see, prefabs, we have our monster prefab here, red. And on the red we have an animator. And right now the animator inside the script here doesn't have a reference to this animator. And we need to create that reference by saying my animator dot is equal to get component animator. There we go. So now we created that reference so that we can use the script to manipulate this animator here and change what animation is playing over here, right? Okay. So let's set up the code actually. So if my animator, or actually let's do like this. Will be easier to understand if we do like this. Out here, we will have to set up some transitions between the different animations to be able to trigger whatever is happening, right? So we can actually say from red down, which is our standard animation when we play the game here. If I select this, start a new wave and select my red monster, you'll see red down is being played over and over again. I need to be able to move from red down all the way up here. So to do that, I'll have to make a transition from red down all the way over here. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click here, plus, to make a new, sorry, not there. I'm going to select parameters first, and then I'm going to click the little plus here, and an integer. I'm going to call this one vertical. And then I'm going to go over here, create a new integer, and call this one horizontal. Based on these two values here, we will change our direction. So let's just do this for fun, right? Let's take red down, right click on red down, make a transition to red right, click on the transition, remove the has exit time, because else it's going to change the transition. If we have the exit time on and you play the game, it's just simply going to go from this one over here. So now it just jumped from red down to red right without us changing anything. So we need to remove the exit time so it doesn't exit by itself from this one to this. Then set fixed duration off and set the transition duration to 0. Fixed duration will make the transition take a fixed amount of time, and we are not interested in that in 2D. We just want to switch like this, because if it's 3D we might want to finish something, or we might want to blend something together and stuff, but that's not the case right now. Then we can set up a condition here, and basically we would say the condition should be, if we need to go from down to right, well, then we need to say that our vertical is equal to 1. So if our vertical value is 1, positive 1, we go to the right. And at the same time, we also need to make sure that our horizontal value, sorry, I mixed them up. Horizontal here needs to be equal to 1. And our vertical, of course, needs to be equal to 0, because vertical is down, up, and up, down, right? And horizontal is this direction. I don't know, I just mixed them up. So horizontal needs to be equal to +1, because positive 1 is over here, and negative 1 is over here. So if we look here, positive this side, negative this side, positive and negative on the vertical instead. So now that we have set this up, we can play the game. And let's see, if we start this and select the monster, he is animated down. But the second that the horizontal changes to 1, he is animated in this direction here. But he's not able to go back. As you can see, if I change this back to 0, there's no transition from red right back to red down, so he can't go back. But now we can do that transition, right? So that's why we need these parameters here. And we can change these parameters from our code. So let's simply set up the code so it works. And then we can simply just play around with this animator to make everything work out here as well. So let's set up the code here. If my current position y, if I'm moving down, my animator.set integer horizontally. And it's very important that you spell this exactly the same way as you spell the parameters out here. If you don't do that, then you're going to have a problem, because then it can't find it. 0. So our horizontal, if our horizontal is set to 0, and my animator dot set integer vertical 1. So if my animator's vertical value is 1 and our horizontal value is 0, well, then we are moving down, right? Because vertical is positive 1. I think I said it the other way before, but positive down, negative up. That's what I'm doing at least. Okay, let's just copy paste this. Copy paste these. If we are moving up, our horizontal is still 0, but our vertical, yeah, exactly. That's why it's very important that you spell it the right way. If I had vertical there, it wouldn't work out here, because I wrote vertical and then it wouldn't know what parameter to switch, and now we get an error. So copy paste these, go down here to move left. So if I need to move left, my horizontal needs to be -1. My vertical needs to be 0. And if I'm moving right, my horizontal needs to be +1, and my vertical needs to be 0. So animator.set integer will take the animator, which we have on our monster. On our monster, right here, take the animator, go to the parameters over here, find vertical, and set the integer to a value. So right now we're not executing animate anywhere, but we need to execute this function here for it to work. And we can do that two places. We should do it right when we set our path, so he has the right direction right away when he spawns. So here we need to say animate, and we need to get him the grid position we have, and we need to get in path dot peak dot grid position. And the reason we can do this is because our grid position is where we are at right now, and we should actually do this after we have set our grid position, else we will get an error, I think. So, or actually no, it wouldn't make sense. Let's do like this. Sorry. So we start our path because we already have a grid position when we get to this point. Our grid position, and then we take our path and we peak at the grid position, which is the next position, right? Because our path is a stack of positions or nodes, and the first node there will be the next position I'm moving towards. And instead of just removing it, I'm just peaking to get the position, the grid position, and then I'm using it in animate down here. Besides that, we will have to use this animate everywhere we are switching our position, or what should I say. And we should do that inside the move function. We have a move function here, and every time we switch to a new path, which we're doing right here, or new node, we will have to animate in another direction. So here we just say animate grid position, path peak, grid position again. So when we've done that, we can save, and then we can jump back to Unity. And now we need to set up our path and our what are these called, our transitions, right? So first of all, we need to set up some testing area here so we can make sure that he changes in the right directions. We are actually allowed to, if we go to our monster and if we go to our controller and select monster controller, red controller here, we are actually allowed to do changes here while the game is playing, and these changes will persist when our game is done playing. So we can set up a testing range here that will make the monster go in all directions, and then we can set up our transitions meanwhile and then test if it works. So let's make some towers. Make sure you have a lot of money or a lot of gold so you can make sure he goes in all directions. So right now we'll start walking downwards. Then I would like him to walk to the right after this. Then I would like him to walk upwards. And I'm going to set this one here, here. And then I would like him to walk down again. Need to be careful where I place my towers because I can't I can't delete them again yet. Like this. So he will walk down, right, up, right, down, left, down, right, and then up. So you'll see if I click next wave, he will take this path here. So he starts walking down, and then he walks to the right, and you can see this already works with the right animation. Then he walks up, then he walks down. So now, right now, he can go from down to right, but he can't go anywhere else. So remember, you should not unpause this or stop playing this. You should keep this game playing so that you have this path to test on. So we can walk from down to right. This transition we have here with vertical 0, horizontal 1 needs to be able to needs to go from every single of these animations here, so that he can go from up to right and he can go from left to right if he wants to. So make transitions from all animations to red right, select it, and make sure you have vertical 0, horizontal 0, 1 on all of these. So click 2 times, say vertical equals 1, horizontal equals 1, vertical equals 0. Select the other transition, plus plus, select horizontal equals 1, vertical equals 0. Make sure that you have no exit time, open it up, make sure you have fixed duration, set transition to 0, and do the same for the other here. and there you go. So now you can transition from every single animation to the right animation. Now we need to be able to go back. So if we go from right to red down to down, we will have to make a new transition. So what are the conditions for going down? Well, the conditions would be if our vertical here is equal to 1 and our horizontal is equal to 0. So transition vertical equals 1 because we're going down, and horizontal equals 0 because we are not going left or right. So try to click next wave. See what happens. He goes down now. He switches to right. Oh, and I did something wrong. As you can see, I forgot to remove the exit time here, so he will bug now. So let's see, we need to remove exit time, remove fixed duration, and remove transition duration here. Just delete these two red monsters we have. There we go. Let's try one more time. Click this one. We can click the red monster. He's animating right and animating this direction. And then he jumps down here. So there's something wrong. Okay. So vertical equals 1 and horizontal equals 1. So apparently I mixed up the directions here. So we need to make sure that our vertical is apparently -1 instead when we go down. That makes more sense. I don't know why I mixed them up. So our vertical should equal -1. So select the red controller, select the transition, set vertical to -1 instead of 1, and then delete the red monster. Let's try one more time. Select here, we select the red monster, he goes downwards, and then he goes to the right. He goes to the right when he goes up, goes to the right when he goes this direction, and then he's animated downwards. So now we can walk left and down. So now we have this transition here, and we need to make the same transition from up and left. So make transition, select the transition, click, and say our horizontal equals 0, our vertical equals -1 because we're going down. Select this one, click, select horizontal equals 0, vertical equals -1, remove, and 0. Okay, so now we can go from other animations to the red down. So we need to be able to go to the left, and let's make a transition from red down here, make transition to red left, and let's just delete this. Yeah, to red left. If we want to go to the left, we need to remove the exit time and everything. Add the condition, say that horizontal is equal to -1 because we're going to left, and say vertical is equal to 0. So let's see if it goes to the left when we go down here and start going this direction here. So now we go down, go to the right, and we go up. We don't have that transition yet. And then we go down, and let's see, and then we go to the left, and we go down, and then we go to the left, and then we go down again, and then we should go to the right down here, and that works. Okay, so we have the correct transition from red to left, from down to left. So let's just make that transition from the others. Make transition, this transition ++, set everything to 0, and say horizontal is equal to -1, vertical is equal to 0, and do the same over here, ++, horizontal equal -1, And this is exactly why I'm not showing this with every single sprite. Vertical equals 0, remove, remove, 0. So now we can transition from this one over here to this, and from this to this, and this to this. What else? We have red up here, and we need to move up somehow, and that's here. So we are moving to the right when we are going to move up. So let's say that make a transition from here to there. If we move up, well, then our condition needs to say that our horizontal equals 0 and our vertical equals 1. So 0 and 1. Let's try this next wave. Now we should move up when he gets here, and he didn't. Let's see red monster. He's in red down, of course. Okay, let's try one more time. I just need to see. Next wave, let's see. We have the red monster. He's in red down, and then he goes to red right. That's why, because I mixed up red and left and right, of course. So let's try one more time. Let's say we make a transition there from there. Click there, plus plus. Vertical equals 1. Horizontal equals 0. Remove these. There we go. And might as well make the same transition from here. Make transition up here. Select plus plus. Vertical equals 1. Horizontal equals 0. And remove the remove the times there. Let's just delete this. Let's try next wave. He goes down, he goes to the right, and it doesn't transition here. Oh, sorry, I have greater here, so select this one and make sure it says equals. Just delete him. Did I remember to do that? The other places equals and equals, yes. So it's very important to keep it on equals instead of greater. Apparently I was a little too fast. Let's try one more time. And he goes to the right, and then he goes up, there we go, and then he goes to the right again, and then he starts going down, please, yes, and then he should go to the left when he gets down there, and he does, then he goes down, and then he goes left, and then he should go down again, and then he goes to the right, there we go. So now we have implemented all the animations for the red monster. Now you will have to do exactly the same thing for the purple, for the blue, and for the green monster. So what I have set up here, that's the only thing you need to do. So you need to set up all these transitions and create the animations for all the 3 other monsters, right? So you can just go back in the video and view it again, and then just change the sprite if you can't remember how to do it. So that's basically what we are going to do in this video. I hope that it was possible for you to follow along. I know I did a few hiccups by mixing up with up and down and left and right, but I hope I managed to correct it. At least you can look at the code I'm writing and look at the way that I'm setting up these transitions here. So yeah, remember, you can always go back, look at the video again, set up the transition for each monster, and when you have done that, you should be ready to follow along with the next video, because I'm going to do this off camera, just put these on, because there's no reason for me to do this again. So thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like my Facebook page, and follow me on Twitter. And also remember that InScope Studios is a community founder page, so all your support helped me out quite a lot. So you can support me in different ways. You can support me by getting one of my projects as a standalone product by clicking the bottom link, or you can support me by going to the Patreon page. And if you do so, then you will be able to get every single project that I've created for my channel here, and all the assets and everything. And of course, they're free to use in as many projects as you want. So thank you very much for watching.